Yet another one bites the dust. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about CNN canceling Don Lemon's show, Don Lemon Tonight, and removing him from that primetime time slot and placing him on the morning time slot with two other people. Now, this is of no surprise to anyone that's been watching my channel or if you've been watching television for a little while. Ever since the new head honcho came in town, Chris Light over at CNN, replacing the former CEO, Jeff Zucker, they've changed things up. They fired Chris Cuomo, Little Brian Stelter, Jeffrey Toobin, and I'm not really sure why Toobin came back after what he did, but I won't go down that road, so I digress. So there's been quite a few shakeups, and I was asking you guys on the last video about Brian Stelter, who's going to be next to go from the network? And I think the overwhelming majority of you guys said Don Lemon, and here we are. Just a few, maybe like a week or two after Brian Stelter, now Don Lemon is gone from his time slot. Now, the difference between him and Brian Stelter is that he would not be gone from the network totally. He'll just be gone from that particular time slot. Very interesting. Everybody else is pretty much just out of a job. Chris Cuomo, Jeff Toobin, all these guys, they're out. But Don Lemon is still there. Is it because of the LGBT thing? Is it because of the minority thing? Perhaps. Maybe that's the reason why they kept him on the network. But he would no longer be on that main time slot. So it's definitely a downgrade. You know, if I was Don Lemon and I had pride, I'm not really a prideful person, but if I was him and I had pride, I would not take that. I would go somewhere else. But he's not going to probably go anywhere else. I mean, where else could Don Lemon go? Well, you know what? Let me just stop saying that, because I think Brian Stelter is now Professor Brian Stelter at an Ivy League. If I'm wrong about that, let me know in the comments. But these liberal people, they'll find a way to land gracefully. They're like a bunch of cats getting thrown from a roof. They're landing on their feet sometimes. But anyway, here's an article that I'm going to just skim through here to get down to some details as to maybe why he was removed and where he'll be coming up. You see the headline here: CNN shakeup, Don Lemon moved from primetime to morning, struggling New Day to be replaced. And New Day hosts John Berman and Brianna Kailar will be shuffled to new CNN roles. So they're not going to be fired from the network either. It's going to be shuffled. The new guy, Chris Light, is trying to just shake things up. I think under Jeff Zucker, they became the anti-Trump, I hate Trump network. And now Chris Light is trying to change them in a different direction, because CNN at this point is a joke. CNN sucks. That's the chant that everybody says. They're known for being trash, for being very partisan. They've not done a lot to change that on air as of late. A little bit they have, but not really. But before I go too deep into it, let's read this article right here. CNN's left-wing host Don Lemon will end his primetime show, Don Lemon Tonight, and move to mornings later this year, the network announced on Thursday, which is today. Don Lemon will join CNN hosts Poppy Harlow and Caitlin Collins on the, quote, reimagined morning show that will replace the long-struggling New Day. I had no idea there was a show called New Day on CNN. I don't watch CNN, but at least I knew about Don Lemon Tonight because you would see clips from that on social media. But New Day, have you ever seen anything from New Day on social media on any other network aside from CNN? Have you ever seen it on CNN? Do you watch CNN? And if you do, how do you really endure it? Anyway, the move leaves CNN with a gaping hole in primetime, as Cuomo primetime still has not been replaced since his namesake host, Chris Cuomo, was fired last year. So what's there right now? Just infomercials? Like, what did they put in that particular time slot? Breaking news? Like, no formatted show? Just, what did they put right there? I mean, to remove that show with no replacement seems kind of weird. Yeah, it's pretty strange. Okay, and here's a link to liberals grumbling over CNN canceling Brian Stelter's show proves to critics it was an anti-conservative. Yeah, I don't got to read that, but you already see what it is. That's exactly what it was. John Berman and Brianna Kailar will continue to anchor New Day until the program premieres, and then will be given new roles to the network. Given Kailar's liberal leanings and the recent ousters of such partisan CNN figures as John Howard and Brian Stelter, some observers thought Kailar would be shown the door as the network continues to revamp under the new CEO, Chris Light, but it appears she's sticking around, but not in that particular role, because that show sucks and the network sucks, and they're trying to twist it around and get it back on track. Details of Kollar's next role were not made clear. She did not immediately respond to a request for comment. It is also unclear what Berman, who is beloved by rank and file CNN employees, will do next for the network. He regularly fills in for primetime hosts and is seen as a versatile anchor. Quote, I'm excited for what comes next. Oh, you're going to say that. Why would you say anything else? What you going to say? Nah, FCNN, they suck. You're not going to say that. You still trying to get that money, ain't you? Okay. The move rid CNN of two programs that were known as staples of the network's Jeff Zucker era, but have failed to attract viewers. Correct. The fate of New Day had long been sealed. Light, who replaced Zucker earlier this year following a long planned merger that put CNN under the Warner Brothers Discovery umbrella, told advisors in May that the struggling morning show would be reimagined at some point. I mean, reimagine the whole network. How about that? Just get rid of the whole network. Like, he should just revamp top to bottom, get everybody out and start over from the beginning, because you might as well at this point. You don't have anybody on there that will have a name that lasts, like a Mike Wallace or even your man Brian Williams from NBC. You don't have anybody like that over there at CNN. So you may as well just clean house from top to bottom and start from the beginning and see if you can have a more middle of the road type of network and coverage, because right now the coverage is super, super leftist and partisan to the left. Zucker, who was forced to resign in February after a series of scandals, interesting, rose to prominence overseeing NBC's Today during the Matt Lauer era. Oh, and Matt Lauer, we know what happened to him. This man had a whole escape room in his office. You push a button and it locks behind you. I mean, crazy stuff, right? I mean, these people in Hollywood and the mainstream media and politics, they're crazy. I've seen some things and some stuff in my day, and I cannot repeat them on air right now. But anyway, he replaced Matt Lauer, or he oversaw NBC Today during the Matt Lauer era and quickly attempted to replicate the morning successes at CNN. So, yeah, they're just talking about some of the numbers here. And I think that's Chris Light, the new guy. He replaced Jeff Zucker. Okay, CNN recently hired Ryan Cardo, a trusted Light ally who was named Senior Vice President of Content Strategy, to help refurbish the morning show. So we're going to see if that whole thing works. If their attempts at refurbishing, quote unquote, the show will make a difference. But yeah, you guys aren't surprised. I'm not surprised. Don Lemon is gone. He was going to be next. Is Jim Acosta still there? I'm not sure if he is. I think he is still there, but he'll probably be next too, because he's just the same as Don Lemon and Brian Stelter and Jeffrey Toobin. Well, not quite like Jeffrey Toobin. I don't think anybody is quite like Jeffrey Toobin, if you understand what I'm talking about. But that whole little clique, Chris Cuomo, all of them, they're kind of the same. They're like relics of the past. And if you're trying to move forward, you got to get rid of that trash. Okay. And some of the lesser known people, at least to the public, they may be well known in the office and well loved in the office, but some of the lesser known guys that they mentioned in the article, they could still be there because nobody's really grown any kind of affection, positive or negative, toward them. So they could still stay around as rank and file members. But you're talking about the big name people, the stars, the recognizable faces that people watch every night, they got to go. They have to go, and you need to replace them with more moderate voices. Now, here's a challenge for you, a challenge for CNN, a challenge for anybody in mainstream media. If you're going to cover any kind of leftist politics, try to find anybody that's middle of the road and not a ridiculous, crazy person, okay? Because even if you have that kind of person, they're many times ostracized by the left. If you're just a regular normie leftist and you don't think January 6th was worse than Hiroshima, Nagasaki, 9/11, Holocaust, the slave trade combined times a million, if you don't think that, then you're a bigot and you're a red hat wearing ridiculous fool. That's what they think about you. That's the whole, the essence that you give off if you don't fall into their political ideology 100%. It's like the Borg. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about what's going on here with Don Lemon's show being canceled off of CNN? Are you surprised? Did you see it coming? Was it just a matter of time? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I'm not surprised at all. I expected it. And maybe you can get Jim Acosta next. Anybody that had a name on CNN, it can go. And really, if I was Chris Light, if I was the guy in charge, I would sweep the house totally. Everybody that needs to go can go. It doesn't matter if you're a big name, small name. You could be a janitor, sweeping the toilets, whatever. I don't care what you're doing. Anybody that has that negative type of anti-Trump, not really covering news, just hating the other side. If that's going on, you got to get up out of there, and we can make this a more moderate leaning network, which is what it used to be when it was respected. But now that it's not respected, now that it's not being viewed, now that you have viewers just plummeting through the floor, they are very partisan. And you can kind of see why they're struggling. It's not hard to tell. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.